following video will briefly and succinctly demonstrate how the commonly and scientifically accepted definitions of design science and design dynamics destroys the pseudoscientific assertions of evolution postulation. Evolution postulation states that the complexity, order, and design dynamics so clearly observed in our world of the scores of millions of living things, along with their systems and subsystems and sub-subsystems, originated accidentally, randomly, without intelligent input or design, from non-living to living, from a magical soup of slime. Let us begin with the Wikipedia definition of design. Now, I use Wikipedia in the major definitions because it cannot be argued that Wikipedia is decidedly biased towards the evolution proposition. With this bias, then, we give the evolutionist every advantage in formulating definitions. So here it goes. Design. The Wikipedia article begins by saying, no generally accepted definition of design exists. Have you ever noticed the trepidation of secular scientists and wordsmiths to give concrete definitions to words that may be used against their revered magical faith of evolution? The wiki articles for intelligence or language or species all begin with similar statements. No generally accepted definition exists for any of these words. Wow, no wonder secular science is so pseudoscientific. They don't even know what they're talking about or how to define what they are talking about from the outset. But listen to what Wikipedia does finally say about the definition of design. Design as a noun. Number one, informally refers to a plan or convention for the construction of an object or a system. Number two, intended to accomplish goals in a particular environment. And number three, a strategic approach to achieve a unique expectation. So the wiki definition of design sounds exactly like what happens in the genome, for example, in DNA, RNA, and chromosome information exchange, which is the plan and blueprint for the construction of all living things. The very definition of design. The term design science was first introduced in 1963 by R. Buckminster Fuller, who defined design science as a systematic form of designing. Design science referred to the scientific study of design. Scientific study, that is, what is observable, demonstratable, repeatable, falsifiable, real science. Design engineers and the product development industry, right down to website designers, have ever since used three important words to define a true, scientifically designed product: form, function, and purpose. In other words, anything that meets the criteria of being a true and elegant design must have a form that is recognizable. A form that is a recognizable shape that always identifies what that object is. An elephant, for example, has form. We always know an elephant when we see one. The form then gives the object a function, the form of an automobile, and the form of all of its subsystems give it the function for which it was intended. And then finally, the reason that something has a recognizable form, which causes it to function in specific ways, is that designed object has a purpose. It does something. It accomplishes something, most of the time affecting the world around it. Form, function, and purpose equals design. Listen to this statement from design engineers and the product development industry from humanscale.com. Quote, "The best designs in the world are based on purpose and function. When a design solves a functional problem as simply and elegantly as possible, the resulting form will be honest and timeless." In other words, form, function, purpose equals design. Always. So there you have it. Every component of life, RNA, DNA, chromosomes, molecules, cells, living things, and the myriad of systems that make them up, and their subsystems, all meet the definition of design, design dynamics, and design science, even Wikipedia's definitions. Does a DNA molecule have a recognizable form? Well, yes, probably one of the most recognized in the scientific world. Does a DNA molecule have a function? Not even the ardent evolutionist would argue that point. Does the DNA molecule serve a purpose as a result of its form and function? Only a fool would say that it does not. So, DNA, the basic building block to all of life, is a form with a function that results from its form that serves a purpose. Therefore, it is a design by every definition of the word design. Oh yeah, every design has to have, you guessed it, a designer. I can promise you, the designer of life was not a magic pool of primordial soup.